show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's August 25th, 2021. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day. And another action-packed filled day at CaneSport.com. And I'm going to start, Matt, with something that I'm really, really excited about, and that's our NIL deal with Tyreek Stevenson. And in setting this thing up, we've gotten to know Tyreek even more than we did. Obviously, we covered him in high school, and we've known him now for several years. But in setting up this NIL deal, we've gotten to spend some more time talking to him and stuff. And what an amazing young man he's grown up to be. What an amazing story he has to tell. And I think it's great for the fans to get to know Tyreek a little bit better through this blog. And it starts in gangbuster form with today's chapter 1. And we talked to Tyreek. He discusses his growing up with his mom and 4 sisters as the only man in the house, and as he's grown up, the responsibility that he's come to learn that means, and his mission in life, and how important it is to be able to take care of his mom and his sisters. And he talks about the journey to Georgia and back, and kind of how it evolved and why it evolved. And to sum it all in all, just an absolutely captivating first blog by Tyreek that we present on the site this morning.
Yeah, he was super candid, which is what you want in a blog. I mean, he wasn't hiding anything. He was just telling it like it was and like it is and like he thinks it will be. Really interesting. So, yeah, I encourage everyone to look at that. I mean, it speaks for itself. He did a great job.
Yeah, and once it came together, it's like I couldn't have been happier that we entered into an NIL deal with him. He represents everything that we believe in at CaneSport. It gives us a player who's doing the right things to support, and win all the way. And we hope that you guys wholeheartedly enjoy this debut blog from Tyreek Stevenson. And then we'll talk more about this tomorrow, Matt. But then Thursday morning, we're going to bring you the first edition of the Mike Harley blog. Another just amazing young man that we've gotten to know better here as we've gotten into this NIL relationship, and also has a just incredible story to tell. So you got the Tyreek Stevenson blog today, the Mike Harley blog on Thursday. Hope everybody enjoys it. You've already had 2 blogs with Leonard Taylor, and this is just the beginning of CaneSport's NIL efforts. We're in discussions to do many more projects and things, and then I'm sure we'll be announcing some of those things in the near future, as well as a relationship with a very high-profile former player that we'll probably be announcing tomorrow, maybe as soon as today, but probably tomorrow, that I think everybody's going to be excited about as well. So lots of good things happening on that side of things at CaneSport.com. In the meantime, practice is going on. And Matt, we got to spend a reasonable amount of time on the practice field yesterday, and got a look at the team, got a look at the depth charts and things like that. And all in all, what I'm seeing is a group that feels pretty good about the progress they've made so far in fall camp. Your thoughts?
I'm encouraged. I just, we don't really see as much once they start Alabama prep to really say, oh, okay, they're going to play with Alabama. But I think fall camp went as well as they could have hoped. They avoided really major injuries, which is always a huge concern. Got everyone ready for the season, it seems like. I think the 2 deep is better than it was a year ago, which is all I can ask for, is that upward trajectory. A lot of positives. But again, you're going to find out real fast where you are in that first game. I mean, I'm sort of glad they had that first game. If you're going to catch Alabama in that, I think it'll be game 1. But that the Alabama talent level on the roster is going to be better than yours. So we really get a sense for where these kids coached up amazingly well, or are they making a lot of mistakes, that sort of thing. So we'll find out a lot in game 1 for sure.
Yeah, I spent some time on an Alabama radio talk show today, and actually, I guess it was yesterday. And they asked me, how can Miami possibly be in this game? Like, what would have to happen for Miami to be in the game? And I said, yeah, it's really not that complicated. De'Ara King has to have the game of his life, has to be a Heisman Trophy level quarterback. Miami's offense has to be as good as it thinks it is and be able to sustain drives and move the ball and put some points on the board. And then the Miami defense is going to have to get a lot of breaks. And the way that they're going to have to try to force those breaks is with pressure and bringing guys and trying to disrupt the plays and getting Bryce Young's mind working quicker than it's ready to at this stage of his career. And if they can do that and force some errors and some penalties and keep Alabama from getting into a rhythm offensively, then maybe they can be in the game in the fourth quarter. Who knows? I mean, the talent disparity is going to be there. I mean, we all know that. But anytime you play a football game, particularly the first week of the season, you just never know what variables are going to come into play. So certainly not hopeless. The Hurricanes feel very good about how they're preparing. The question will be, can they get enough things done on the defensive side of the ball to disrupt Alabama? And then, of course, can the offense fulfill its potential? So on that note, Matt, we spent some time with Rhett Lashley out at practice yesterday. And, you could tell that he's measuring what he's saying. I mean, they like what they see, but he understands that what they're seeing on the practice field doesn't mean a thing on September the 4th. He's like, and he said this repeatedly this fall, like we have to show it on game day. And, you could tell that he's happy with his quarterbacks, obviously. He's happy with the young receivers. He's looking for ways to mix some of those young receivers into his game plan. He's putting them to the test in practice right now, making sure they're ready to handle it against better competition and things like that. He's doing everything he can do as a coordinator. But I think he's right. Like, until the potential shows up on September the 4th, it really doesn't matter what he says.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the most interesting takeaway is always personnel-wise this time of year. And he said something that struck me, which, he's been so adamant about finding a featured back to get somebody going and let them just keep going and get comfortable. And now all of a sudden he backtracked on that, which I found interesting. I don't know if it's a personality thing.
I called it. I've been saying it awful. I could see it. You could see it coming. I mean, how are they supposed to pick one back?
Yeah. Well, but to me, I don't know if it's a personality thing also, because Cam Harris, if he's not the guy that's going to be super upset. That's just, you can see that from last year and when that happened. And Don Chaney hasn't had a chance. Like, it would be very hard to say, oh, Don Chaney's the guy when he practiced for a week before the game, over these guys who've been working all fall. And Jalen Knighton's been a little banged up at times too. So I mean, basically what Rhett Lashley said is we don't think Cam Harris is going to be the guy, because if Cam Harris is going to be the guy, you just say he's going to be the guy. It doesn't make sense to me. He's been with the first team the whole fall. Jalen's been with the second team all fall while Don Chaney's been rehabbing. So basically, it was a vote of no confidence in Cam Harris, is what I heard today from Rhett Lashley.
Yeah, which is we don't know why that would be. I mean, to our eye, I think you would agree Cam Harris has looked fine this fall.
I thought so.
But listen, to me, Jalen Knighton and Don Chaney are too good to just put on mothballs off to the side. And I know this is a program that once had McGahee and Portis and those guys all on the roster at the same time, but none of these guys are McGahee or Portis. So, I just don't see how they would have done that in the first place. And that's why I've been saying all fall that I think that they'll be back to running back by committee. And Lashley suggested that, he might have to play it by ear, game by game. And if a guy gets a hot hand, ride that guy, but not go into the game with a predisposed idea of who that featured back is going to be. So, look, I mean, they've got three good backs. I don't think that there's a problem there. I think they have enough talent at running back to certainly play in the Lashley offense. I mean, are any of these guys Alabama level tailbacks? I'm not sure. Alabama likes to feature those guys and play more of a power game with its running backs. But these guys, I think, to do what Lashley wants to do, I think are all good enough. And so that'll be interesting. All right, so that's on the website. Also, some other stories. Jafari Harvey, who's trying to rise up here in his third year and be the impact defensive end that Miami needs with Jalen Phillips and Quincy Roche and obviously Greg Rousseau also now out of the program. So we've got a good story with him. We spoke with Will Mallory, update on how things are looking from his perspective. I asked him if he was concerned about a diminished role for the tight ends with the receivers looking so good and so many of them seemingly commanding playing time. He nixed that idea. He said the better they do, the better it is for us because it diverts attention of the defense. Certainly a reasonable point. We spoke to Gil Frierson and got an update on what's going on at the striker position. So all those things are on the website this morning for you guys to sink your teeth into and get caught up on what's going on with the team. All right, a few other things that are on the site this morning. We've got that 15 impactful players in 15 days feature continuing. We're all the way up to number 3 now with Mike Harley. And, Mike, like we said, we're going to have a blog, his first blog on Thursday. But Matt, I think the Mike Harley story, even though we'll talk more about it tomorrow, is absolutely amazing. I mean, this is a kid that is undersized, that really wasn't recruited by many people around college football. I mean, he was, until Miami swooped in at the end, he was headed to West Virginia. And just like so unexpected, the second half of last season, he just blossomed and became an impact player for this team. And obviously the expectations are high for him this fall. And it's going to be interesting to see what Harley can get done now that there's going to be more attention on him.
Yeah, I mean, everyone should stay tuned for that blog also tomorrow because he's got quite a story to tell. And, got cut in high school. He had some personal problems. I mean, he really delves into it. And, to see him succeed when you read a story like that, I mean, you got to be happy for the guy. I mean, I already knew him and knew I liked him, but I mean, fans who maybe don't know him personally, will read that blog tomorrow and be like, wow, But yeah, it's great to see him do really well again the second half of last year. But he says he just did okay. He wasn't real thrilled with his season last year, which tells you, his motivation.
Yeah, well, I mean, he did only get a half a season. They just say it was like Lashley discovered he has this little toy over here, and wow, that looks pretty good. And then just started feeding them the ball game after game, and actually started game planning to get him the ball, and was setting up plays and things like that, and it worked. And I think we'll see it again this year, obviously. Okay, and then another thing that we have this morning is the ACC, the Big Ten, and the Pac-12 made a big announcement yesterday. They formed an alliance for the purpose, really, in all honesty, of countering what the SEC is doing by luring Oklahoma and Texas. And I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to say, hey, like, we're still here, and no, SEC, you are not the big bully of college football that's going to dictate everything. We are still going to have our voice, and we are going to band together in a united front. And when there's time to vote on things and there's time to discuss things, we're going to be at the table with a lot of force ourselves because we're going to have the strength of 3 conferences behind us. Matt, I think that's what they're really doing. And then the second thing they're doing is they're trying to put muscle behind ESPN to raise the TV fees. Why should SEC schools be the only ones that make major money in college football, and all the other schools make a lot less? That's not sustainable. It gives the SEC schools way too big of a competitive advantage, creates a massive disparity in the college football playoff, and just disrupts the competitive balance of college football in general. So these other conferences, they need to get the TV rates up. To get the TV rates up, you need to have more marquee games. And by forming this alliance, they're going to have that. They're going to be able to pit Miami and USC, Miami and UCLA, Miami and Oregon, Miami and Michigan, Miami, Ohio State. And that's just Miami that we're talking about, Miami, Penn State. These are all games that are going to be able to go on the schedule at some point down the road. Blake James pointed out that Miami's schedules are booked through 2027. So, a lot of this is just, kind of semantics and spin, let's be honest. But the idea, Matt, of all these new intersectional games being on the table, at least in the future, has to be a good thing for college football.
I mean, I was on the conference call. It's just, I don't know if they rushed it out to get it out publicly, but it's all pie in the sky. I mean, you mentioned all these amazing games they're going to have and the TV revenue they'll have. There's no revenue sharing agreement between the three conferences. If there was, I'd say, yeah, this is going to work. This is just like a handshake and a wink and a nod. That's all it is. It's like it's just Blake James may as well just call up the athletic directors at some other schools he wants to play. There's no difference to me versus what these guys were talking about. And on the conference call, people kept saying, why didn't you sign something? We don't understand. This is just like you told them, you said, oh yeah, we'll have an alliance. Like, we don't understand. And they couldn't explain it. They just kept saying, we don't need a signed document. That's not necessary. We looked each other in the eye and we're going to play games against each other. Like, what is that? Isn't that what you do anyway? Like, don't you do cross-conference games anyway against really good teams? Basically, what they're just saying
not to this degree. They don't to this degree.
Basically, what they're saying is, let's not play the SEC. That's all this is. It's like an agreement. We're not going to play SEC teams. That's basically all this is. Miami's not going to stop playing other teams also. It's not only going to be these two conferences Miami's going to play from now on in every sport.
I mean, if the result is one more good game a year, like, maybe instead of playing a Central Connecticut or an Appalachian State this year, Miami were playing USC or something like that. If the result is that,
there's zero plan. There's no, here's who your new rival is in this conference. There's nothing. There's no plan. They just showed up.
They got some work to do. I agree. They do have work to do.
But here's my thing. Why didn't they put in the work before the press conference? Why? Because they can't get an agreement done. That's why. Which to me, it's just a big show. Like, hey, SEC, like you said, we're here. But is the SEC really worried about what they just did today on this press conference? It was like a joke to me because there's nothing written. It's just, here's what we want to see happen. It's like insane to me that they did this.
Yeah, they probably didn't need to rush. I mean, I agree with you. I don't know what rushing accomplished. I personally like the concept, like I said.
The concept, if it actually
becomes real, right?
Real.
Right. Show us that it'll become real. But don't tell us your schedule's booked to 2027 because you got to figure out a way to get out of some of those crap games that you got on there. And
I'll make an alliance with you. We'll be co-publishers of CaneSport. That's it. That's basically what they did. They're like, oh, we'll just share everything.
Right. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. They definitely, like I said, have more work to do. But I like the concept, and we'll see what happens. I mean, it's like if you got to wait till 2028, 7 years from now to see any effects of this? I mean, that's kind of stupid. I can't imagine that that's their plan. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. So one other thing we have on the site this morning that I thought is really good is story of Ja'Cory Brown, the Miami quarterback commit, and what an opening night he had last week in Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, where the Hurricanes are going to be in 10 days now. And Ja'Cory talks about that. He talks about what Rhett Lashley thought of the performance and some other things. So that'll be a story that I think you all will want to check out on the website this morning. So all in all, another action-packed day at CaneSport.com. If you're not a subscriber, there's a couple things you can do. You see at the bottom of the screen, we still have our training camp special. First-time subscribers get year number 1 for $20.21 in honor of the year 2021. Strongly encourage you to come join us at CaneSport.com. And also subscribe to this channel if you're not subscribed to this channel, and enjoy all of our content that we're putting on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter. Do all those things. Help us out. Keep us going. And we'll continue to be here for the Canes Nation, and we hope that we're providing you guys with the best, or certainly one of the best, team sites in college football. That's our mission. Enhance your fan experience. So for Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you tomorrow on Good Morning CaneSport. Have a great day, everybody.